Hi guys, welcome to Mark Bayeski YouTube channel. Okay, this is mid-afternoon now, and I've received a heap of messages regarding Moldavite, so I guess that I can pull a few pages out of the Power of Moldavite book and explain certain things that I've learnt over the years with Moldavite, and hope it shines a little light on the beautiful crystal that is from out of this world. I'm not saying what I'm saying now is right. I'm not saying it's true. I'm not saying it's the only answer. There are many other answers and many other explanations that I'm sure other people will be able to help you with. The reason why I'm going to talk about this now is because I understand the experience. I know it because I've worked with the Moldavite for a decade and a half, so I know exactly what I've experienced over the 15 years of working with Moldavite. Different thought forms, different shapes, different textures of Moldavite, and whether they're in their true natural form, whether they've been semi-polished or polished, it doesn't really matter. Moldavite that I've seen and worked with have had very similar outcomes to when I work with a certain piece of Moldavite. And we're going to talk about, first of all, the Moldavite and its coloration, its uniqueness, and why so many of you keep saying to me, Mark, why is it that my piece of Moldavite, when I got it, looks different from what it looks like now? Things have changed. There were certain things inside there which are no longer there. And the other one is, why God, I've started to notice different colorations, different textures, different, just the crystal is different. It seems different. Okay, let's tackle that one first of all. Well, when I first started working with a piece of Moldavite, it was kind of a flat and almost like this shape, quite flat, but fairly thick. It was a good piece, a really good piece. The one thing that I noticed about it is that it was nice and thin enough to be able to see straight through it. The thicker the Moldavite, the more challenging it is to see through it, especially when there's no sunlight. The best way to see a Moldavite is direct sunlight, and look at it straight through like you would a telescope, but not at the sun, of course. So when you're looking at Moldavite, of course you're going to admire it because it's got so many unusual patterns and formations, the bubbles, all the intricacy of Moldavite, and it is breathtaking, right? It's breathtaking because you can see so much. Well, familiarity with Moldavite becomes part of your day because you're often looking at it, you're feeling it, you're getting used to it, all the emotions that are happening to you. So what I was noticing is when I was working with this particular piece for probably about 7-8 months, what I started noticing is that there were some inclusions which were quite dark, and what I was looking at with the inclusions were there were certain patterns and certain lines. This particular one had almost like a fork, 4 lines running down, and then it went into one, so it looked like a fork. And I used to laugh and say, what an unusual formation inside the Moldavite. Now what I noticed really fast was within 2 months the fork started looking different, and all of a sudden I thought, that never had 4 forks. It's now got 5 forks. It's got more, and that was the first time I started realizing there's something changing in my Moldavite, because what once looked like 4 forks now is 5. So I started taking photos of it, and I wish I'd have continued to keep them photos, but that was a long time ago with my phone back then, so I didn't keep them. I don't keep anything anyway, to be honest, only some of my writings. So after maybe 6 months, 7-8 months, something like that, I stopped looking at it and then just continued with other Moldavites. And then I went back to that Moldavite to sell it to somebody because they really liked it and wanted it. And when we put it up to the sun, I said to her, "Oh my God." And she said, What? I said, it's gone. That the forks have gone. There were 5 forks, and it's all disappeared. Now, here's the take. This is my feeling, right? This is my thought. Moldavite, like all crystals, are living entities. They're alive. They still are of an energy of growth and change all the time. So you may find that your Moldavite may have something very special, like a very unusual colouring at one corner, you know, rainbows, different colours, darkness, all that. And all of a sudden you can look at it again and try and find it within maybe a week, sometimes a day, and it's gone. And that's because the Moldavite is still continuing to grow, to change, to adapt. And yeah, it's a living entity. So I think it's that simple. That's my feeling. A lot of people have suggested that because of the shift in temperature, because it comes from a cold country and then it comes to a warm country, something could happen. I don't know about that. I'm not into the science. I just know that when I hold a Moldavite, it's a living entity, and I can feel that energy alive. And it's not only healing me, but it's also changing formation. And if you think about that, guys, if you've got a piece of Moldavite, and sometimes you might think, okay, it's done its work. If it's still with you and it's not disappearing, then maybe the change of the Moldavite, maybe the transition of that Moldavite is now ready to change you again. So it works with you and alongside you. And this is my whole theory about Moldavite. It becomes your best friend, and it feels you and attunes into you. So when you're wearing it, it molds itself around your energy and then starts to use its own uniqueness to be able to change its energy to blast and heal you and to strengthen you in certain ways. In truth, I think it's like a computer. It's like a spiritual computer that can attune to your energy and heal you. So yes, I think it does change its formation because it's a living entity. I hope that makes some sense. So secondly, the second point, this is the most common message. Why is it that when I wear my Moldavite, it either comes out of its socket, it's holding, it's bounding, or when I've got it tied around my neck, the tie comes off and I lose it, or it goes missing? Does it want to run away? Does it want to escape from me? And it's really interesting because my feeling is with Moldavite, when it's done its work, it wants to just go and stay somewhere else, or it may need to be picked up by somebody else, or maybe, I'm not 100% sure about this, but maybe it needs a rest. It needs to get away. It needs to rejuvenate. It needs to, I don't know. Yeah, rejuvenate is the word. Re-energize, because the Moldavite is working full time with you, and it's working hard, and it's clearing a lot of bad stuff from you. That's what it does, and it's strengthening you. So sometimes your Moldavite needs a rest, and I think that, you know, because you've often said it to me, Mark, there's no way that could have come off my neck. I tied it 3 times, there's no way, and it miraculously comes off. People are going to watch this and think this guy's an idiot, but I'm telling you, I have thousands of messages saying, Mark, it was on and then it disappeared, it just went. And it does disappear, it does fall out of its socket, it does break, it does go. And one of the reasons, and there's a lot more than this reason, but I'm giving you the simple one of the simple explanations, that sometimes I think the Moldavite just needs time to re-energize. Gosh, I don't want to say too much, because the power of Moldavite has some great things in there that I don't want to share all of it, because then you'll know all the book. But I'm going to leave it at that, okay? I just want to follow through on one thing. There is never a time that a Moldavite wants to get away from you because there's something wrong with you, or, you know, anything negative. Moldavite isn't a negative stone. It doesn't do anything negative. If the Moldavite comes off you, it means it's done its work at that moment. If it's on you, it means that it's still continuing to work. And then you will say, oh, but Mark, you said that the Moldavite works with you all the time. It does, but it's like anything else. If you use a tool a lot, it's gonna go blunt. It's gonna, you're gonna have to maybe buy a new one or something like that with a tool, But I just think that it's hard to describe how to explain why a Moldavite sometimes needs just to be left alone if it comes off you. Just leave it for a while, and then when you feel the energy to get it back, maybe if you're asking me how long for, I would say give it 4 weeks, leave it 4 weeks, give it some healing, give it some love, give it some sun, give it some salt water bath, rub some Palo Santo oil on. I have Palo Santo oil, which is called cleansing oil. It's a special Palo Santo, but a mix with another about 400 oils, but predominantly it's Palo Santo, genuine 100% Palo Santo oil. A nightmare to get, but I have it and it's on my website, and it's called cleansing oil, and that is what I use on my Moldavites. You will see before I send them to you, I dip every one of them in that oil and then rub them and then let them sit for at least 4 or 5 hours. And then if you do that, if you just rub some Palo Santo oil onto it and then just leave it, it will heal. It will generate a great energy again. I kind of want to keep saying one of the biggest reasons why they need to come off you and need the rest, but I'm going to save that for the power of Moldavite. You're going to be shocked when you read it, but you will understand why I said it, and I think you might agree. It's a very powerful subject that I'm talking about, but I don't want to talk about it now. But once the book's out, after a few months, I'll then start to share a few more tips and information with you guys with regards to Moldavite. I hope that helps a little bit. Again, don't think that everything that Mark says is a 100%. It's just what I've learned and experienced. You might send me a message back and say, that's not what I feel, Mark. I feel this. And I'm happy to listen to that and say, okay, let me just have a feel and think, and let me put the pieces together, see if it makes sense, because I like to try and make sense of it. Because how does a triple knot come apart on its own? How does that happen? How does a bonding of a Moldavite into a fixed clasp or grip just boom, it's gone? These things happen. I think Moldavite is a very, very powerful crystal that has a unique energy to be able to make things happen beyond our understanding. And it does sound crazy. Absolutely, I'm thinking about that. Anybody who's listening to this now is going to think, what a crazy idiot. But I'm telling you guys, things do happen. They really do. And there's a lot more to it than what I'm just saying. Okay, this is just a few snippets of information, but there's a lot more. Okay, and I'm sure a few of you might know why I'm holding back as well. Okay, guys, I think that's it from Mark Bajerski YouTube channel. I hope you're having a glorious day. Thank you for listening, and if you do end up going to markbajerski.com for your Moldavite, just start with a small one, guys. Don't go crazy and spend €1,000. Go small, even if it's like the smallest chip. See how it feels, work with it, and give it a few months and then work your way up. I think that's the best way, because some people, I think, they get so excited that they buy the biggest piece, and then they get let down because they think, oh well, because I've spent 1,000 on the biggest piece, it's going to be fantastic. But that's the very block that stops you from feeling it. So start with a little piece and then work your way up. Start with your third eye first of all, or I have a set of 3 that I purposely worked on, which is really good starting Moldavite set. So one in here, and one on the third eye. You hold them and lie back, and you just let the Moldavite work its magic on its own. That's called the Awakening Moldavite set. So that's a really good starter set as well. That's it really, guys, I think. And if you have bought a piece of Moldavite from a reputable dealer, enjoy the journey with Moldavite, because it's absolutely amazing. Take care, guys, from my heart to yours.